The future of redistricting in Virginia could be derailed. It all depends on what the courts decide. It's been almost 1 week since Virginians voted to redraw the congressional maps, and the new districts could give Democrats a 10-1 advantage in the upcoming midterms in U.S. House races. And this morning, the Virginia Supreme Court heard one of those lawsuits to challenge the constitutional amendment. Our Matthew Torres was listening in and joins us now in the studio with the very latest. Matthew.
Hey, Annie, the question is if the Virginia General Assembly properly followed its steps to change the Constitution. The process includes holding 2 special sessions with an election in between, but now every step is being scrutinized.
What's up for debate is the first special session last October, just days before the November general election. That's when lawmakers advanced the amendment to redraw congressional districts that voters narrowly passed last week.
The Constitution is clear on every single one of the points that the General Assembly and the people validly ratified the amendment by strictly complying with the procedures set forth in the Constitution.
Attorney Matthew Seligman represents the Democrats and is urging how the results of last week's special election must stay.
And the challengers are asking to overturn that democratic result.
State rules say the legislature needs to hold 2 separate sessions with an election in between. The attorney for the Republicans argues an election is when early voting starts, not just on that day. In that case, he says the amendment's first vote was invalid because it happened as early voting was already underway.
Yet a bare partisan majority of the General Assembly rammed the proposed amendment through the legislature. None of these voters had any idea this was coming. And that's not how the process is supposed to work.
It could come down to how the state Supreme Court defines election, which Democrats argue means Election Day.
If the Supreme Court is going to define Election Day as being the entire voting period, that's going to really change a lot of what the common understanding of how we interpret these provisions are, because nobody ever understood it that way.
Republicans also say redistricting passed in a session that was formally called to discuss the budget. Their attorney is calling the move unprecedented, adding how the Commonwealth broke a rule to post about a constitutional amendment 3 months before an election.
I want the courts to get it right. I think saying that the Constitution was not followed is correct.
But with mainly 2 out of 7 justices asking questions, it's hard to tell if that argument stuck. The Virginia Senate Majority Leader is confident the higher court will side with Democrats.
Nobody who advises us on a regular basis advised us that there's anything constitutionally infirm about what we were proposing to do, and I'm confident it's going to be held up.
Now, Democratic Governor Abigail Spanberger said this morning she hopes the state Supreme Court will weigh heavily the vote of the people. Now, there are a few other lawsuits challenging the referendum. One was rejected by the the Circuit Court in Richmond over the weekend. It is unclear when the justices will return a decision after hearing today's arguments. Annie?
All right, Matthew, thanks for staying on top of this for us.